Alright, out here in the sun. Just got some more projects to do, so I sort of had to go to the well. And this is a load of different kinds of pallets. Some oak, some pine, and there's some real gold under there. So let me get this all undone, and I'll show you what's hiding under there. Whew. Okay. Well, got some of this stuff taken apart. There's some just some everyday 2x4s there I got to deal with, but the gold was under here. These were some parts of a deck that it's not treated lumber, but it's in pretty good shape. It's just this weird configuration. They cut it up and had these two pieces, so I just separated. There's a pile of those two, of the top pieces I still got to deal with. But then here's some of the pieces I'm getting ready to cut. I'm taking a little break here. But there's the bottom pieces, and I take them over here on the table saw and just cutting them up. These are 1-inch thick boards, and I've got a few more of them piled right here, because the next thing will be, once I unbury that poor thing, is to run them through the planer, and what I'll end up with is a nice pile of clean 3/4 inch boards, and they're all about 2 feet long. So let me get the rest of these cleaned up and run them through the planer and see what we're going to do next. Whew. Okay, time to get caught up on this project. Here's some of the 2x4s I took out of that pile. There's a couple more leaning against the wall over there. And there's a bunch of small boards. Now these, it keeps rearing its ugly head, doesn't it? What you see here used to be these. Ran them through a table saw, turned them into boards, and some of the boards are here in clamps. And yeah, they're rough. It's not furniture. Have you guessed what it is yet? Anyway, these are gluing up, and I had to go ahead and use my dado blade to put that in the top of each one. And so far so good. Total, including I guess recycling all the wood. Here's some more of the wood that got recycled. It's more boards, much more boards. What did I get here? 10 about 4-foot long timber frames. Timber frames? Wow. What do you call these things again? Landscape timbers. That's them. Okay, so I got some about 4.5 foot long, and a couple more 2x4s, plus all the wood that you saw here. All these pieces and those pieces there. So we're making progress. Now I gotta wait until all that stuff dries, take them out and clean them up, and we'll be back. Alright, we're back. A little update on the beehive. There it is. There's the stand at the bottom, and 3 of the large hive bodies. And I know some of y'all know I got a planer, and they'll say, why does that look really rough? Well, that's because I really just planed the inside. Tried to make it smooth, and wasn't too worried about the outside. Plus I need new knives. And where I am now, you can see here's frame tops. These are frame bottoms that I'm actually doing right now. I'm putting the groove in the bottom that takes the foundation, and I got to make 2 passes to get that groove right. Yeah, and I could have set the dado blade back up, but I just didn't feel like it. And then here's all the sides. I've got enough to make, I don't know, 35, 40 frames to fit this thing. And over here is my one frame I borrowed to use as a I guess a pattern. Didn't take it apart, just kind of looked at it, measured it, mucked about and everything. But the frames have to match up with the hive body. and then the cover is sitting over there, getting ready to be cleaned up right there. So we're moving right along. I've got to make an inside top. Like I said, I got the cover over there, and all I lack, besides the frames, is to get a piece of hardware cloth to put in the bottom, just like that one is. And then I'm probably going to make a queen excluder just while, I'm in the process of building this thing. But the gentleman I'm working with doesn't use them, and we'll just see. It's a big learning process. So as I write this or make this video, I've probably got about 3.5 hours totally into this right now. Just kind of working it in my spare time. The weather's just beautiful the last couple days, but I also like to listen to an occasional baseball game, so that's actually what I've been doing this, is working out here instead of sitting inside watching a baseball game. I got a TV out here, and underneath this cloth over here is a a compact disc player and a DVD player, all that junk. So that's kind of how I do this. Is I don't sit around the house watching TV. I'll throw that thing on and throw a baseball game on, something like that. Thank God for instant replay, and we're just moving along. Now, I guess once I get these frames put together, I'm going to make a jig for that. I'm going to have time to paint this. I'm probably just going to put a couple of coats of exterior primer on this. I might throw some house paint on it. Haven't decided yet. But when there's something to report, I'll bring it back. Okay, so what we have here is one of the hive bodies. Now, I did make a mistake on this. I won't go into it except to say that I just messed up, and the entire hive body on this dimension is about 1/2 inch too short. Now, normally I'm kind of a perfectionist on that kind of thing, but this is a down and dirty kind of thing, and it's not going to be a problem in the long run because it simply means that I made all of my frames a little shorter, and I went ahead and cut a little bit off of the foundations, which I'll show you after a bit. But that's pretty much what the bodies look like. It's just the edge glued boards. You saw them in an earlier part of the video, and they're dadoed and just basically glued and nailed together using a good glue. I used a what the heck they call it, the Tight Bond 2, good in weather. I think it'll be fine in this application. I didn't worry too much about the finish, again, because hey, I'm not making a showpiece here. I'm making a hive, and the bees don't care. And as far as little bitty space, got a couple little nail holes and stuff like that. The bees are gonna propolize everything. Bee glue. This thing is gonna be all glued together by the time I start worrying about anything. So there's the hive body, and what I'll do now is just show you a little bit about how I went ahead and made the frames. Let me put that together. Now, just a quick update. There's all the hive bodies are sitting right there. They're pretty much done. I might throw a little sanding, and then I'm gonna paint those. And then what I'm doing right here is starting to make the frames. These are the bottom frame pieces, and these are the tops. They're already done, and there's just some of the bottoms there. And then these are the sides. And where's my frame? This is pretty much what I'm making right here. There's the top piece, side piece, bottom piece, and they slide down inside the bodies. And this is where the bees build their comb, store their honey. So got a little assembly line going here, and I'll get back to you when I get done with something. Alright, we're just going to talk about the frame pieces a little bit. There's the pieces for one frame. Now, everything I did, I started out with just a piece of scrap 2x4. Some were cut-offs. let's see if I've got, yeah, here's, I mean, we're talking scrap wood. Now, I will try and remember to find the URL for the exploded view with all the measurements and everything that I used, and I'll put it, you know, down there in the bottom. If not, you go ahead and, if I can't find that, you go ahead and do a Google search and look around, and you'll find a couple of places that have, you know, all the dimensions, the parts, the measurements, and all that, and we'll just go through it real quick. This is the top piece, and as you can see, now this is real rough, I haven't cleaned it up. You can see there's a notch there and a notch there. I just did that with a dado blade on my table saw, and you could do it with multiple passes of a table saw, or you could do it with, you know, even a jigsaw. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just got to be close. Same thing with this notch here. It's just notched right there, out. Now it's the same way on both ends, and then I ran it the long way through the table saw to get that groove. And in my case, because I'm using the plastic foundations, they clip right up into that. And I think that's the easiest way for a beginner to go, so that's the way I did it. So there's the top piece. The bottom piece is quite similar. It's got 2 notches out of it, same on both ends, and then the same thing, just that groove, just multiple passes with a table saw to get that. Now the sides are a little more complicated, and you can see how, I mean, this is really rough. You know, I took a dado blade and made this notch as well. Oh, that one doesn't have a notch on the bottom. Let's get one that does. These are like spares. And there's a smaller notch on the bottom. Now basically the way it works, there's your piece. It slides up into that notch. Okay? And then here's the bottom. Same thing. Just slides right up into the notch. I don't know if I did that on camera real well because I was watching what I was doing. Just slides right up into the notch. So what you end up with, fingers are in the way. Anyway, let me lay this down where you can see it, and let me get a finished frame. Now here's a finished one. And as you can see, it's just inside the notch there, inside the notch there, on both ends. And then I took my small hand drill and drilled a tiny little hole. That's the head of a 1-inch brad nail. And literally, that's exactly what I did. I put a little bit of tight bond glue in each joint and drilled a hole down about pretty much 3/4 the length of the nail, enough where it went completely through this piece and started very well in this piece, and then nailed it together. Now, because I already had the hive bodies, when you set it inside the hive body, this spot right here catches and it kind of hangs in the hive body. Now, because I did that, once I took out my little square, just to make sure that everything was squared up, and if you had to bend it around a little bit, you could do that because it's nailed, and then just let it sit in the hive body hanging naturally, and it dried perfect. Now, before I forget, there was one thing that I actually forgot while I was doing it. See those notches right there? I don't know how well they're showing up. This area, this one might show up better. This part of the side is much narrower than this part. Then you can see, I mean, it's just really rough. And all that is so when 2 of them are sitting side by side, let me grab another one, and you're looking down at the top of the hive, that's what you see. Notice how the way they're made, this holds them apart a little bit, so you've got bee space in there. It has a lot to do with the design, what the designer of this hive had in mind, was leaving space for the bees. So at the top, because these stick out a little bit, the sides, the way they're built, but at the bottom, notice how big that space is. And again, it's not rocket science. You can see where I used a table saw. Again, it could be done with a jigsaw. It could be done... Actually, you could probably notch this a little bit with a handsaw and just split that piece off. The bottom line, scrap lumber. Lots of scrap lumber. All right, moving on.